Welcome back to Saphos Unscripted. It's a gloomy Wednesday evening for us. Well, Tuesday evening for us. Box lost. We said it's all to play for, history to play for, and we couldn't get over the line. Robin, how are you doing? Have you recovered after this weekend?
I can't remember when last I watched a morning game. You know, back in Super Rugby days, it used to be the norm. And I was so excited for this weekend. You know, I really wanted the Box to pull it through. So, no, I'm not doing well. And I can imagine you not doing well yourself, Ivan. But we live and we learn. Tough times never last. Only tough booker last.
So, we say we live and we learn, Robin. But we haven't learned after 51 defeats, right? Every team that's gone there has lost. And we haven't learned. And we were cocky, right? And the thing is, if we won, we would have been utterly shameless. And because we can't be shameless, we don't have the bragging rights. We've got a special guest for everyone, right? Because everyone likes bragging with us. Everyone likes taking the piss with us. So we have to get someone out here to give us the humble pie. So everyone, please put your hands together for Cedric, my man. Okay, one sec.
Hello.
Brother, welcome. Everyone, if you haven't seen Cedric's stuff, he was one of the first guys that I saw as soon as I went onto social media in terms of rugby content creating. Please do go show him some love and support on his TikTok, his Instagram as well. It's Let's Talk Sports. This guy is crazy. Cedric, my man, how are you doing? How are you feeling after this weekend? Obviously, All Blacks fan. Tell us.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I guess I was more happy that because going into that game we had lost 4 times in a row, and I was a bit skeptical about when we were going to win next. So I'm just happy we were able to get the win. And I was watching it at a bar. There were so many South African fans at the bar too. I thought I was in South Africa, but now I'm doing well. I'm just happy we won, and I'm looking forward to this week's test.
Fair enough. What was the feeling like for you before the game? Did you have the jitters? Did you have the nerves to think, okay, maybe the Eden Park record could be broken over here? And then a follow-up on that one. Do you think it would have been good for rugby if a record like that got broken?
Oh, I think, that was the most I was probably nervous since the 23 World Cup. I hadn't been that nervous in a while. And I actually said that I was on my local radio station for university, and I said South Africa were going to break the record. I actually went on to say that. I was just super nervous. Sorry, what was the other question you had?
Would it have been good for rugby if a record like that will probably not be touched anytime soon be broken? Would it be good for rugby?
I guess it probably depends on how you look at it. I think out of all the teams in the world, South Africa probably are the team to break that record if it was to be broken. But yeah, I guess it just kind of depends on how you kind of view it. But hey, I'm super happy. 51 games unbeaten. I don't know if you saw Tiernan, our good friend Tiernan. He said it's kind of fraudulent, that record, and I was just like, oh, hey, say what you want. I don't want to get into it, but
you know what's a record that's not fraudulent? It's the Murrayfield record that you have. So if the Eden Park record got broken, I don't think the Murrayfield record's getting broken anytime soon, right?
Yeah.
Robin, do you also feel like a bit of shit that Cedric's being humble, right? When he could have easily just been on our back all episode, because he's being a nice guy, right? And I reckon that we wouldn't have been as nice as he would have been.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually just going to change the tone completely quickly. I got to ask Cedric something because I feel like he might know something we don't. Cedric, answer this honestly. Do you think Tony Brown has infiltrated the Bok team and is creating chaos amongst our players? Because we are trying innovation left, right, and center, and we've gone away from what brought us to the dance. So do you think Tony Brown is just a sneaky link there and he's trying to, disrupt our momentum?
Nah, I didn't think that at all. I think a lot of us All Blacks fans we were a bit shocked when he got called into the team. And I think it's just a matter of everybody in the world is kind of playing really well. Obviously, we're seeing how good Australia are. We saw that test between Argentina and the All Blacks. I think everybody is just playing at an incredible level this year. But I definitely don't think Tony Brown. Is like the little rat in the, I guess, in the pit.
The reason I'm asking is because I saw a clip on TikTok, and you guys probably saw it during the game, where I can't remember the exact time in the game, but Rassie got mad that his whole headset fell off and he slammed the table and he said South Africa's greatest word, which I'm not going to say it on the pod. And it looked like Tony Brown was having a little bit of a giggle, a little bit of a smile. It's almost like, my plan.
I saw that.
I'm going to insert the clip here. That's it.
Yeah, I saw that clip. I think Tony Brown went into the Springboks camp with the best intentions. I think he's there to help, but like I said, I think everybody's just playing at a really high and incredible level. So rugby this year has been very exciting. That's all I can say.
Yeah, rugby is probably in the best spot that it's been in a long while, right? Like I've said it multiple times that rugby needs a strong Australian team. Rugby needs a strong New Zealand team, strong South African team. You see the England, the way that they're climbing the ranks as well. Let me just get rid of Robin here for a second until he fixes that. It's like in the end, right? Because you don't want that caveat surrounding, let's say, for instance, a World Cup or a rugby championship where it's like you want it, but everyone knows the other teams aren't performing at the moment. So it's good to see the other teams climbing through the ranks. People, we've got a stacked episode here talking about, obviously, the match that just passed at Eden Park between the All Blacks and the Springboks. We're going to obviously have a little preview with Cedric over here as well to talk about this weekend's clash. But we've got a double header because we're also going to talk about the Women's World Cup, obviously getting into the business end of season. And then we are going to obviously talk about Australia versus Argentina. So if you're just fans that like talking a bit of shit when it comes to rugby, please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. As I said, go show Cedric some love and support. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of the game. That first half, you were all over us, right? Like that was very, very impressive by New Zealand. And I know there's a lot of South Africans that's been blaming the ref and stuff. We won't be discussing any of that, right? I feel New Zealand, in the end, they were the better team because you get a lot of these situations where a team's in the lead and then another team gets desperate, which we were, right? Because you had a two-try lead the whole game. Obviously, when a team gets desperate like that, they start pouring on the pressure. But New Zealand's defensive structure was just so impressive in that second half to just keep on going. As soon as we score a try, you score again to get that two-try buffer once again. What's your main takeaways as a Kiwi for the All Blacks performance? What were you impressed by the most?
It's actually interesting because when we played Argentina in that loss, in my opinion, that was probably the worst games I had seen us play. We couldn't make a tackle, we couldn't catch a high ball, and nothing was really working. So it seems like during trainings, they really went in there and worked on those things. And I was just super stoked to see how well the boys played in terms of the high ball. I thought we were definitely a lot better. I feel like Damian McKenzie coming on quite early definitely changed a lot of that. And like you said, our defensive structure was really good. So I was just happy we were able to defend really well in that first half because South Africa, the amount of speed and power that they have at all levels is absolutely insane. So we were able to hold you guys out to those 3 points. I was super happy with that. Just a few key players really stood out to me during that one. It was really good. I knew the boys would stand up for Ari's 100th. I don't know if you saw that clip between Ari and Sia after the game. I think that pretty much sums up the relationship we have. And it's hard for me to be cocky. Like when I'm usually never like a cocky or put in their face kind of guy. So when we win, I just take it. Just try to be as humble as I can.
Because he's used to winning. He's used to it. 98% of his games were victories from 2009 till 2015.
Oh, I guess so, but I just always like to, try to stay humble and to see the humility between both captains. I thought it was really good to see. But overall, it was a really solid performance. Still, a little things, some things to work on, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I want to come to Divan's praise a little bit. You know, we all know he talks a bit of shit when it comes to rugby. But there was one thing in our previous episode that he mentioned about a specific player that plays for the All Blacks. And I actually went down the comments, Divan, in that YouTube video we posted, and it was referencing Tupuvai. And you said something along the lines of he's probably in form the best lock in the world right now. And I think this past weekend he showed that. And in that comment, someone had said he disagrees. What is Divan saying? This guy he wouldn't start for any of the other top 6 nations in the world. And I mean, it came to life what you said, Divan. So I'm giving you praise for that. Cedric, what do you feel about Tupuvai, the future for him, and what do you rate him as a player?
Yeah, Vi's definitely come a long way. I think last year he had a pretty big year, and I remember seeing a video where Divan was saying, "Yeah, Inform is probably the best lock in the world." But yeah, he definitely showed that. He's been playing a lot of 6, but during that game we did move him to lock. But I didn't think it really mattered, and he was just so disruptive. He was everywhere. I think out of all the All Blacks, he was the one that was like chatting a lot. You could see he was clapping for every call and whatnot. And some All Blacks fans weren't too happy. But in my opinion, you need those kind of players in your teams to kind of G up the boys. And yeah, he was just outstanding. Just super disruptive, and he just seems to right now to be in the right place at the right time. And like Devon said, yeah, he's been in great form.
I feel like he's the perfect mixture. Like you've got Scott Barrett, that's obviously your enforcer. You've got Adi Savea, who's kind of does everything. And then you've got Tupuvai that's in the middle, that's like a mold of the two. He kind of falls in that gray area where he does what both does, but not necessarily as efficient as both does, but it's brilliant for the team. It fits in perfectly. That's why it just fits like a glove, whether he plays at 6, whether he plays at lock. I mean, I looked at him during this Super Rugby season, and obviously we know that this was a massive season for him. You had your lock injuries, for instance, like last season and stuff. So he had an opportunity to go and show his worth, right? Whether it was at lock or at Lucy. And now he just feels undroppable, right? He's so unbelievably good. And I mean, you mentioned Adi Savea and Sia Khaleesi, right? Do you reckon Adi Savea is probably worldwide the most respected rugby player in the world? Like, I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Adi Savea. Like, that guy over the weekend as well. He's just extraordinary. He's brilliant.
I'd have to go between him and Sia. I think everybody respects him so much. And yeah, Adi just 100 games. And for those 100 tests, he's been unbelievable. We're just so lucky to have someone like him. And then someone brought up a discussion, where do you kind of rank him in the All Blacks greats in terms of Lucy's? I say there's like 5 or 6 and like great Lucy's from the All Blacks that you can probably rank him in that. But yeah, I feel like Sia and Adi are both right up there.
In my opinion, and I'm not saying this as recency bias, because I know a lot of people go back on nostalgia. If you go on pure ability and talent when it comes to the rugby field, I feel he's the greatest Lucy that not only New Zealand has ever produced, but probably the world has ever produced. I rank him the best, like talent in terms of talent.
Yeah.
Right? Like this guy
Ability.
goes to the NPC or whatever and plays 15. Isn't Colby chasing after the ball? He keeps up with his pace. He's brilliant at the breakdown. He doesn't miss tackles. He scores tries. It's ridiculous the amount of talent and ability that he has. And I just want to bring up. There's actually 2 more points that I want to bring up for New Zealand before we switch over to the South African performance. The first thing that I want to bring up, and I'll leave the other one to Robin, is obviously we saw the breaking news that Richie Mo'unga has signed another 2-year contract for the Kiwis, right? So he'll be eligible for the Rugby World Cup as well. But if you look at the performances of Beauden Barrett, even from the Super Rugby, right? Because it feels like we're seeing prime Bodie again. He's adjusted his game. It's a new Bodie, but it feels like he's reaching a prime again. Do you reckon there's a world where Bodie doesn't even give up that 10 jersey if he keeps on with this form? And you say, Richie, you were the best, but unfortunately we can't drop Beauden on this type of form. Because what are you going to do then? Put Beauden back at 15 while Jordan has kind of locked down that 15 jersey? What would you go for?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good problem to have. Like you say, Brady is sort of coming into like a second prime. He was absolutely massive in that game. Definitely made some crucial plays. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do decide to do with Richie, because like you said, if Brady moves to 15, Will has stated in many interviews he doesn't want to move on to the wing, that he wants to make fullback his main position. So yeah, definitely a good problem to have. And then even D-Mac. D-Mac has played every game since the Rugby World Cup final, and he's been phenomenal when he came on. So do you drop him and then put Richie onto the bench, or do you make a few changes there? So I don't know. Definitely a tough problem, a good problem to have. But yeah, like you said, Bodie, he's just, I don't know. He's played like over 120 tests for the All Blacks, and he still looks like in great form. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Robin, you have a final one before we move over to the Springboks?
I was awaiting my question from you, but if you forgot, I'll just have to give you some more praise now that we're on the topic of Will Jordan.
No. So what I was kind of referencing was I wanted to hear Cedric's opinion on the pundits kind of giving the All Blacks a lot of grief regarding their play style recently, because we saw it after the Argentina test where there's always the what on earth is that? There's always this thing with after the Argentina loss, like the pundits from New Zealand really went after New Zealand in terms of their playing style, right? Because obviously you've adjusted it to kind of play a bit more with the brute force game or the physicality game, kind of taking it to the way that the Springboks used to play, obviously with more flair, but it's not the same as you used to. What's your opinions on the pundits doing that? Do you reckon it's a bit harsh on the boys to do that, or do you just think winning is all that matters? If that's what works, just keep on going with that.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's a bit harsh. We see all the teams now changing up their play style. They obviously have what they're dominant and known for, but they're going to try other things because maybe it's successful for other teams, so that's what they're going to try. So yes, it is harsh. And I mean, you just look at social media nowadays, like it's so hard to scroll a couple times without seeing something negative, whether it's from a pundit, a fan, or whatever the case may be. And maybe we find ourselves also being negative towards maybe certain players and stuff like that. But that's just us and our competitiveness and the way we, see the game. But we just fans, at the end of the day, they're the professional rugby players. They got there for a reason, and we must understand that. I mean, it's gone so far on social media now that I saw a video. It's gone to the point where the ref is dancing up in the air and then runs over to Ardy, hugging him. Like, AI is getting so crazy. You saw that video, like that was crazy to me.
If you get that video, pop it in. Dude, that was so funny.
It's just like these players can't catch a break. Like the 1 week, they're down in the dumps with all this hate or negativeness, and then the next week they keeping a record at Eden Park, putting in a solid performance against a Bok team. So you can't really win unless obviously you always win. But yeah, it's tough for the players, and the pundits are probably pundits for a reason. Some of them are ex-rugby players, but rugby's changed. Like, it's not the same game anymore, and players and teams try to adapt, and sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay. Who are we to really, say negative things,
Cedric, you have anything to add to that from your side? Obviously, you've seen it. They're obviously talking about your boys. Do you have anything to add to what Robin says, or do you kind of just echo what he said there?
Yeah, I was one of the pundits myself. I was quite harsh after that performance. I guess I'm just used to seeing the All Blacks play at a high level, and we've been playing at a high level for a very long time. So when that performance against Argentina happened, I was just kind of in shock due to that game. But I was more so full credit to Argentina on how well they played, the game plan they had. But yeah, I guess I can kind of echo what Robin said. But yeah, a lot of us are pretty harsh because when we did win, definitely a different feeling, and a different vibe from that game, and it was a much better performance. So I fully hear what Robin's saying.
Yeah. And on that note, let's move over to the Springboks performance after this weekend, because obviously it wasn't necessarily a great performance. You could say mostly in the first half, right, Robin? But where do you feel ultimately it went wrong for us during that game?
I mean, we've totally gone away from what we were dominant in. I mean, to lose that many lineouts, I mean, credit to New Zealand, they applied pressure. I saw an interview with Malcolm Marx and Rassie in the week, and he says he has to take some responsibility when it comes to the lineout throws. It's just tough, man, because the one time that we did get some field position, we decided to do a midfield lineout. And to me, that was like crazy. Like, first get the fundamentals right before you start trying midfield lineouts. Maybe it was because we couldn't win a flipping lineout, that we just had to do one that we knew we were going to win, but it didn't, turn out right for us because New Zealand were ready for it. And we've spoken about this. We tried all this stuff with Italy. Of course, New Zealand is going to do their homework and find ways to combat that. And I said, if we're going to do that, we need to try and add a second option to that. So instead of going to a maul, just play it out to the 9 and try run it as like a decoy option. So yeah, I just feel like we went away from our fundamentals. Also said to you last week that we need to be physical. If we can be physical, rugby becomes a lot more easier. New Zealand were more physical than us. There's one player, and we've been mentioning him and praising him, and that's Eskom. And I felt he carried tremendously. But besides him, there wasn't really much urgency with ball in hand. And we just struggled, man. And if you don't get on the front foot, you're going to struggle all day long.
Yeah. I mean, the one that we tried, right? There's a video, if you look at it in slow motion, Scott Barrett picks up on it so quickly, immediately informs his team this is happening. You see 3-4 All Blacks players literally right in the middle of it, trying to disrupt that midfield lineout. Like the way that they just picked up on it, like it was absolutely nothing, just tells you how informed they were going into that game. And obviously there were periods in the second half where I was very impressed by our performance. But in the end, that's why I said we can't blame the ref, right? Because I know there's a lot of people, but you get inconsistent reffing, right? That's why I'm not referencing it at all. In the end, my thing that I think cost us was just our own errors as well, right? Like we didn't do ourselves any favors. You give New Zealand a 2-try buffer. It feels impossible to come back from there. But then we get the glimpse of hope, and then we score a try, right? And right from the kickoff, Laurie Jager tackles Kwagga Smith, right? And all of a sudden we're back on the back foot because New Zealand goes and scores just on the other end. And there you got the 2-try buffer once again. Cedric, what was your takeaways from the Springbok performance as a whole? Where do you think we went wrong in this one?
Yeah, like Robin mentioned, I think it was just a lot of your own kind of errors. The second half when you guys were coming back, it just seemed like the Springboks were getting penalized a lot and like making a lot of little mistakes here and there. There were a couple of times like where obstruction got called into play, like that kickoff, like you mentioned, and then there was one where you guys were in our 22. And then I got caught again. It was just errors I felt like definitely could have been avoided, and ones I weren't used to seeing from the Springboks. And yeah, I was a bit on the fence too about when you guys did the midfield line out, and because you could see how fast Scott came in, and then Tupou Vai came from around the corner to kind of shut it down quite quickly. I thought it would have been better if you guys were just running the ball. But yeah, overall, I thought South Africa they played okay. I thought they played a lot better than some people did, but I just know you guys hold them to such a high standard, like how we hold the All Blacks, and I know you guys know they can play a lot better too. But I thought they did okay, especially in their second half, especially when there were a couple of changes, guys like when Sasha Feinberg and Gonzulu came on. I thought Kobus Reinach was very good when he came on. So yeah, that second half, I think you can definitely take some positives away from that.
Yeah, before we move into like just a short preview for next weekend, because myself and Robin will do a preview from our side, like a proper preview for next weekend. I just want to hear a final thought from both of you. Robin, I'll come to you first. When we had about 2 minutes left on the clock, I think it was around 78 minutes, 78 and a half minutes into the game, we get a penalty. I think it's about 35 meters out in the middle of the field, and we behind 24-17. We decided to go for the touchline. I was screaming at the TV for us to go at goal, right? Because then you have the opportunity for a restart once again. It's 24-20, and then you kind of back your team to either milk a penalty or something like that, get into an attacking position, and then get over the line. Because I felt like we claim to be the best in the world, right? Like the same as Cedric would probably back his boys to be the best in the world. We want our teams to be the best in the world, and for that you need the big decisions to take place. When we kick for touch there's no way that we're scoring within that minute left, kicking it over and then having a restart. So the most you can get from that game is a draw. So I was screaming for us to get the penalty and play with confidence, because at that point in the game, I felt like New Zealand were also leaking penalties. Do you think we should have just showed a bit more courage to do something like that? Or would you also have played to just kick for touch to secure a try and then potentially play for the draw? What's your opinion on that, Robin?
Well, yeah, I wonder if that was ever an option, like for Jesse at the time to make that call. Reason I'm saying that is when that penalty was given, I don't know if you guys can recall, there was quite a lot of disruption because we were first unsure what the initial call was going to be, and it was deemed to be a knock on instead of a penalty. And then the TMO came on and said, no, it was a high shot on Polly. And there was a lot of chatter with both captains. And I was looking at the time and it was still like going. I don't know if the referee stopped his time. So I think there was quite a lot of chaos. And maybe Jesse was under pressure to make a call. Also, if they were to go for that kick and then New Zealand kicked off, imagine the amount of pressure as players if they didn't then go on to go and score the try and potentially win the game. Because in hindsight, it's always 2020. If we did that, kicked over, caught the ball and scored the try, the whole of South Africa is praising you for that decision. But if you kick over, New Zealand steal it from regaining the kickoff, and you end up losing the game when you could have maybe drawed it, you then get all that negativity again. So it's quite a tough call to make, especially with that amount of time. I must admit, I also thought, let's quickly just go to polls and see what we can do. Because if you draw, you don't beat the streak. The streak still remains, you understand? So, yeah, I can understand both sides of the argument. A draw would have felt better than just getting 3 points and still losing. But giving yourself opportunity, like you're saying, Divan, is also like it shows that you feel you're the best and you want to go and break the streak. So it's a tough one to call. And like I said, that chaos maybe played into it a little bit. And yeah.
Cedric, what would you have wanted the All Blacks to do in that situation?
I think if we were like, if South Africa had like the same streak and we had that same positioning, I think there would have been no pressure on the All Blacks at all to show that they're the best team in the world. And like you, I think I would have tried to go for the 3 and then try score off of that. I think I would have just tried my best to show like, okay, this is why we're the best team in the world. And we're definitely going to show you, because all the pressure was on the All Blacks to defend their line and to defend the streak. But yeah, I think I would have I would have been like you, yelling at the TV saying to take the 3 and yeah.
It's, to be fair, it's just my opinion. I'm not going to blame anyone. My opinion was just like, I would rather lose going for the win than at most getting a draw from it. That's just my opinion on it. But obviously, I'm not going to haunt anyone for saying that we made the right decision. Because in the end, right, because you're 35 meters, you're right in the middle of the field, like the kick doesn't really go to 5 meters out. We were still about 20 out after the kick. So you still had to gain a lot of meters. It's not like you're just going to maul over right from there. But anyway, just looking ahead kind of to this week, and just like quick for 2 minutes. Cedric, you obviously saw the Springbok squad and stuff. Do you reckon that the Springboks will be fired enough to get a little revenge story out there, or do you reckon that your boys will take a lot of confidence from this victory and get it done in Wellington again this weekend?
I think it will definitely be going both ways. I know South Africa will definitely be wanting to get their revenge, and they know they could have played better, and that was definitely a game, Eden Park, they could have won. And yeah, the All Blacks definitely a confidence booster. Like I keep saying after the Argentina game, but to win that one, to keep the unbeaten streak alive, yeah, this game should be good. But I had it going both ways. I had us winning the Eden Park, and then South Africa winning this one in Wellington, because it seems like every time the All Blacks go to Wellington, we just never play well. So this game should be very interesting. A lot of people fired up, and yeah, I saw that Springbok team. Definitely a couple of key changes. So yeah, should be a good game. Should be a really good game.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Robin will obviously have our preview, so we'll keep our thoughts and opinions for that video. As we mentioned, there's a double header. We've got a World Cup. We meet again in the World Cup quarterfinals. Our ladies meet. Obviously, New Zealand wild favourites going into this one, because the women's game is kind of just lit a fire recently in South Africa, but it's been going for a lot longer in New Zealand. Have you been impressed by your Black Ferns, and have you been impressed by the Springboks women this far? And do you think this game could be closer than initially expected, seeing that it is a World Cup? You know, the two countries, kind of just the whole aura as the biggest rivalry in rugby, they'll kind of mix together pretty well to give us an exciting game.
Oh, yeah, it's a tough one, because I think after New Zealand's first couple of games, I was a bit, I don't know if they were kind of the favorites going into it, into that game against Ireland. England look absolutely outstanding right now. They've won like 29 games in a row or something crazy. They got like the highest world ranking. But I think after that Ireland performance, when we were able to get a solid win, winning 40-0, it gave me a lot of confidence going into this South Africa game. And like you said, it's been happening a long time in New Zealand, but not in South Africa in terms of the women's game. But man, South Africa, they're definitely not shy when it comes to putting on points and showing their physicality. Two players in particular, the number 9, Nadine Roos, I think that's her name, and then the number 8, they have been so impressive this year. And yeah, I think with like the whole aura of the rivalry and how long this rivalry has been going, it could be a lot closer than people think. But I think after that Irish game, I think the Black Ferns are definitely peaking at the right time.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Like you've got young girls that's coming through. I think the one I saw Ella's video. I think she scored 2 hat-tricks now in a row, and it's her first season of professional rugby.
Yeah. Braxton. Yeah, Braxton. Yeah.
Right. Robin, have you managed to watch some of our ladies? Have you been impressed by the performance recently? I wouldn't necessarily refer to the French one, because obviously I think we made about 10 to 12 changes in that one, because we already knew we were going through. What's your thoughts been on our ladies' performances? Because obviously we performing better than expected already.
Yeah, super impressed, man. Like, kudos to them. First time in a quarterfinal, first time beating Italy. I think it just creates such a positive outlook in women's rugby in South Africa. I mean, we don't have a lot of women that play rugby in South Africa, but there's definitely potential. Like Divan can tell you, we've got some strong women, and a lot of them, you know, side with netball and hockey, and all the other sports that we're known for. But I definitely think this World Cup will bring out a new generation of more women getting into the game of rugby, and I think that's good for everyone. You know, I've seen a few pundits speak about, you know, the women's World Cup. There's a lot of like big margins in the score lines and stuff like that, but the more the Boks start getting better and other nations, the more people are going to want to watch and tune in, and it's going to become more competitive and exciting. So yeah, I can't wait to check them out on the weekend. Look, New Zealand's Black Ferns are high favourites to win that, and deservedly.
If I let me ask you this, Cedric, because I wanted to ask Robin as well, just to kind of round out on the women's one. If you had to win one and lose one this weekend between the women's and the rugby championship game, which one are you taking the victory from? Which one would you rather lose?
Oh, easy. I'd rather win the quarterfinal easily. Just being that it's a World Cup. I'd rather take the World Cup, and I'd rather see. Oh, I obviously don't want to see, but if I had to pick one, I'd have the All Blacks lose, and then the girls go through to a semi-final. So that would be fine.
That's fair. I actually thought like I'd rather see the guys win, just because we still have a chance then. Because for us it's different, right? Because we have the opportunity to create history. We've never won 2 rugby championships in a row, and I thought, what's the likelihood, even if we beat New Zealand, right? It could easily be one of those games where it's like you put everything into that victory and then you don't perform at the semi-final, kind of like England did with New Zealand in 2019 Rugby World Cup. That semi-final performance kind of took so much out of them that they couldn't really front up in the final again. But it would be nice to have a little women's title as well, right? Like getting one over New Zealand where they are so big favorites, right? That would feel like the Eden Park that we needed. Robin, do you share the same sentiment? Are we taking the women's one over the boys?
That's such a tough one because, like, it would be so big and it would be talked about for a long time to come. But I don't see us beating New Zealand and then England as well. So I think I would side with the guys. I think the girls have done more than enough to make everyone proud. But I would side with the guys because, like you said, try and win 2 back-to-back rugby championships. So yeah.
Unfortunately, we won't sit in that situation because the Boks are winning both. So we don't have to worry about it. It's a sad weekend for Cedric upcoming. Anyway, let's move on to kind of a game that went under the radar because of the magnitude of the Eden Park test. Just quickly want to run through Australia versus Argentina. What a game. What a sensational game. And Australia showing balls at the end. I mean, Harry Wilson pointing to say, listen, we're going for the lineouts. We're going for the victory. Egging on his boys to front up one more time and getting over the line. How big is this for Australian rugby, even leading into their own World Cup, to be performing like this, getting these underdog victories against the likes of England last season, getting it against South Africa? Obviously, they're going to play for the Bledisloe, and I wouldn't count them out of that race at all. They had a great performances against the Lions as well. And overall, just like as soon as you think you can write them off in the game, they just fight back, even though they're behind 24-0 after 18 minutes, right? Just the way that they front up. How good is this for Australian rugby at the moment, Cedric?
Nah, it's good. When the Wallabies are in really good hands, it seems to up the performance of the All Blacks too. And we've been wanting the Wallabies to be great for a while. And I've been one of the few people that have missed South Africa in Super Rugby. I still think when South Africa were in Super Rugby, that's when Super Rugby was at its best. And that's when all the teams were very strong. But yeah, it's really good. It seems like Joe Schmidt has come in, definitely changed the whole environment, changed the whole culture of the team. Obviously getting that win against England, getting a test win over the Lions, a series they definitely could have won. But you can see there's a lot of grit, a lot of determination in this team. And Joseph Swali'i is making the most of that $4 million contract or whatever he signed. And I'm a massive rugby league fan. So when I was watching him in league, he absolutely carved up. And then when I heard he was going over to Australia rugby to kind of help with how things are going, I was a bit unsure about how one player can kind of do that. But if you saw that game against Argentina and how well he's been playing in that 13 jersey, he's probably been one of the best centers in the world. Just his athleticism, his speed. He played very well against South Africa too in that win. Yeah. But yeah, it's really cool to see how well Aussie are playing, and especially leading up to their own World Cup.
Yeah, and dude, they're in a strong position to bring back Mark Nawantikavasi.
Yeah,
Right, like
yeah.
they're in a strong position to bring him back as well, right? And he was a standout player for the Wallabies right before he left for rugby league. Now imagine they bring him back to bolster the squad as well, because he probably walks in on the wing position. But then you think about the wingers that are playing at the moment, even with the injuries, they're cooking, right? So just to keep on building on their squad depth, they'll be a force to be reckoned with, especially at the home ground. And we saw it, right? Like winning solves a billion problems, because they've sold out Sydney Stadium, not Sydney, the Allianz Stadium this weekend for the Argentina test as well, right? Which we haven't seen for a while, because they were struggling for such a long time. So Australian rugby is growing, and it's growing at a rapid rate, which is scary for a lot of teams, but beautiful to see for the game of rugby. Robin, what was your takeaways for Argentina after losing this one? Is it now a foregone conclusion that they're winning the next one, seeing that they always win one, lose one against all teams, or do you reckon they kind of blundered their chance on that one? Because even though they were impressive, they should have arguably won that test.
Yeah, like you said, win one, lose one with Argentina is just so hard to call. I think the more they cry before the game in the anthem, the more scared you should be as an opposition, because they're super passionate, and they're always going to bring out the best, or challenge you as a team. So, I mean, yeah, maybe they threw away that game, and they could have potentially, gone in as favorites, possibly to win this championship if they had won that. But yeah, they're definitely going to come out stronger for the next one. And based on their track record, win one, lose one, this could be quite a tough one for Australia. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, Cedric, before we let you go, we'll try and get you on next week as well, right? Because we have to have a review of the doubleheader. What's your quick fire predictions for the three games? All Blacks versus the Springboks, Black Ferns versus the Springboks women, and then Australia versus Argentina, that rematch as well.
Okay. All Blacks versus the Springboks. I'm gonna say I have to back the boys, especially after the Eden Park one. I'll say the ABs get it done. Another close game though. I think it'll be the atmosphere and what kind of happened in that game at Eden Park. I think it'll be similar here in Wellington. I'll say the All Blacks win. Yeah, I'll say anywhere from 3 to 5. I'll say it'll be like that. In terms of the Women's Rugby World Cup quarterfinal, it's just very hard for me to see South Africa beating the Black Ferns at all. I think the Black Ferns have arguably the best player in the world right now in Georgia Miller. If you've seen what she's done in the 17, and for her to make that kind of impact in 15 straight away is absolutely insane. I don't want to sound cocky, but I'm going to say Black Ferns 13 plus in that game. And then Australia versus Argentina. Yeah, Argentina have this whole theme of winning one, losing one. I'm going to say Argentina win that game. They had the whole lead. They were up by like 14 at one point in that game against Australia, and then for Australia to come back. But yeah, I'll say Argentina take that one to go 1-1, lose one.
Yeah, it's crazy that you're speaking that into fruition, going 0-3. Like crazy. Anyway, no, I'm just taking the piss. People, thank you very much for watching. As always, Cedric, brother, thank you for joining. We will see you guys again later this week, and then early next week for the review of all the games. People, as always, thank you so much for your love and support. Please do go and like and subscribe, or follow Cedric on his social medias as well. We do appreciate you guys, and we will see you next time. Ciao.